Hello everyone, Jackie Edwards here on another lovely sunny day. So today I want to share a little bit of what I've been working on. I am just doing my mid-year review. So I know it is August, so it's a little bit past mid-year. But anyways, that's completely fine because it's perfect with the topic that I want to talk about and how it is okay to be a work in process. I think that we are taught for like forever from a small child that perfection is what we are trying to attain, whatever. So we're always taught we should try to be perfect. Like everything we should do, we should be perfect. Like we go to school, we should get perfect grades. Like if our grade isn't an A, if we don't have a perfect score, then it's like not good enough. And that's not really how real life works. And we're never going to be perfect as people. I like to think of it as, and one of my mentors talks about how one of her kind of contexts that she lives by is growth and evolution over a lifetime. So for me, it makes me feel so much more comfortable and it makes things so much easier if I think of, instead of having to be perfect, instead of having to, have attained all of my goals right now, instead of having to achieve everything, instead of having to have everything and know everything and be everything, if I look at my life as growth and evolution, if I'm always learning, if I'm always a work in process. So everything I'm doing is just growing me even further. So even if I make mistakes, like that's okay. What can I learn from it? How can I look at that as just growth and evolution over a lifetime? Because mistakes are always going to happen. Shit's always going to go wrong. But how can we learn and grow from that instead of beating ourselves up because we should have been better? We should have known better. We should have done better. All of those shoulds. And those shoulds are not at all helpful. Those shoulds are what make us feel kind of that guilt and that shame. And anything we're going to do from feelings of guilt and shame is not really for our higher purpose. It's not really moving us forward. Again, and I've talked about this in previous videos, and Brené Brown is the one that talks a lot about shame and guilt and vulnerability and how to really work with those. So if you're really interested in that stuff, she explains it way better than me. But when we're working from a place where we feel guilty and we feel ashamed, that's not going to be our best work. That's not where we're going to be just being our full, authentic, amazing selves when we're beating ourselves up. And a lot of times we think that that's how we have to move forward. We have to like shame ourselves into being better and guilt ourselves into moving forward. And, keep telling ourselves, oh, we're not good enough. We're not good enough. We're not good enough. And then suddenly that's just going to just push us into being good enough. And someday we'll just achieve it and then everything will be fine. But if we're constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, we should have done better, we should have done better, that's not really moving us forward, because it's not just going to change someday and all of a sudden our brain's going to be like, oh no, there it is. Now you're wonderful and perfect and now you can love yourself. We have to teach ourselves to love ourselves along the way and to be proud of ourselves and to be kind to ourselves. So my way of doing that is really looking again at life as growth and evolution over a lifetime, as how I'm always a work in process. So part of what I was doing as kind of like my mid-year review is I was making a list of here's all the awesome things that have happened so far this year. Like here's all the great adventures that I've had, all the things that I'm really proud of, all the fun times, all of the amazing things that have happened, all the amazing things I've done, all of the just happy times. So it doesn't even have to be like super amazing over the top. It's just like, here's what my life has looked like this year and all of the good things that have happened. And then on the other side, I like to also take some time to notice the things that have gone wrong, especially the things that are feeling a little bit sticky. So things that, again, I feel guilty or I feel ashamed about. And take some time to do a little bit of journaling around it, but just looking at them to say, okay, those things happened. It's part of my kind of growth and evolution over a lifetime. It's part of me being a work in process and not being perfect. How can I, instead of feeling guilty, instead of feeling ashamed, how can I take those feelings out and find the actual lesson in it so that I can move forward and I can grow and learn from this? And so it's just looking at things with a little bit different of an eye and just saying, of course I'm not perfect. When that happened, I was doing the absolute best I could at the time. Like I was making the best decision I could make at that time. And It wasn't perfect. Something happened, but I was doing the best I could. What can I learn from it so that next time something even better happens? So that I can see my growth, so that I can see that I'm processing and moving forward. And that is super freeing for me to kind of look back, and it helps me to kind of like shift and shed all of the kind of feelings that are holding you back. So it could be like things that have gone wrong in some of your relationships. It could be like, for me, there were some problems with some of our animals over the past few months that I should have taken care of sooner so that they got better faster. Any little things like that. And it's just doing a little bit of work around it, really thinking it through to see how is that showing me as a work in process? How am I showing improvement? How am I going to continue to show improvement? What have I learned from this? And I was just listening to a training from one of my mentors, and she talked about kind of really looking at those things that kind of went wrong and like making a little like quotable from it. So as your lesson. So instead of it being like a lesson like, I should have done better, I should have known better, I'll know better next time, it's how can we, and I haven't done this part yet, so this is what I'm going to do after this. But it's how can we make like a little quotable that like you could almost post it on social media, but you probably don't want to, but it'll just be something that like sticks in your mind as like, here's a little lesson I've learned from this. And it'll be just a fun thing for you to be like, oh, if that happens, or if you feel that feeling again, you can just think again, something like, oh, I'm a work in process. I made the best decision I could at the time. I'm always moving forward. And once we can kind of work with those things, it'll be easier, especially if we've got those little quotables, it'll be easier next time to like shift out of that guilt, out of that shame, and into kind of feeling better more quickly, moving forward more quickly, learning the lesson more quickly. And that is how we grow as beautiful human beings, and how we really spend some time loving ourselves. It's not just ignoring all the bad things that have happened in the past. Not like a test when we were in school. You fail the test, you just move forward, like whatever, move on to the next lesson. Let's really take the time to learn from those lessons and move forward with those learnings so that everything else going forward is so much more better. And that can be even about, any health issues that you've had, any kind of weight challenges, any people challenges where they've said things that maybe felt bad to you, or you've said things that maybe felt bad to you. When you shame yourself, when you say mean things to yourself that you wouldn't say to somebody else, you can look at all of those. And instead of shaming yourself and saying, oh, I shouldn't call myself fat, I shouldn't say those things about myself, it's really looking at it and saying, okay, instead of those shoulds, instead of just adding more shame onto myself, what's the lesson I can learn? How can I grow from this? How can I make this change for next time? And then going forward into, again, this is my mid-year session, so going forward into like the next half or the next quarter of our year, for the end of this year, is really being able to take those lessons, again, looking at all the fabulous things that happened over this year and just being so grateful for those. And just so excited for all the amazing things that have happened, all the growth that we've had, all the fun times. And then adding on, all right, now I've learned these lessons, and let's look forward to what can I do for the rest of this year? Because all of this amazing stuff is happening. I'm in a constant flow of growth and evolution. Oh my God, if all of this has happened already this year, what is possible for the rest of the year? And that kind of sustaining energy is just so exciting, with so many opportunities, and anything can happen. All right, so I'm going to leave you and go finish up my exercises, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.